Okay, we are live. Coming to you from flooded, rainy California. Guys, come and join us. You can bring your boats down here. You can take them literally anywhere. Okay, so, guys, let's start this out on a positive note. Let's talk a little baseball, softball. I know that the women won 2 games today, and the men are currently have a tight contest going. So, Jason, you want to talk a little bit about because I didn't get a chance to catch any of those games today.
Yeah, softball, they did what they should have done. They beat Tennessee Chattanooga 6-0, and they beat Southern South Alabama. How do you say it? Southern Alabama, something like that. Anyway, that team, they went to the regionals last year, so it's a good team. Like Paul said, those small schools are good at baseball. Especially the southern schools, right? Like Sam Houston State, those teams. So they're good at softball, but Iowa, I mean, they beat them 4-1 with the 3-run homer by Benez. They played great defense. There wasn't any errors. You could tell coaches because they play so many games. The softball coach, man, she must have wanted the schedule. I mean, they play 5 games every weekend. And last weekend, they lost their last game to UNO, and you could tell they were tired. They didn't want to play. Mm-hmm. So the coach, Gillespie, gave all the girls days off to do their homework, to get done before spring break. Just they didn't do any softball, anything until the last couple of days or whatever to get ready for this, just so they can get their wind back from playing 5 games last weekend. Now they're playing 5 games this weekend. And, I mean, they're looking good, just like they did last weekend. They look good on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday rolls around and they didn't play worth of crap. So they're doing the same thing. They're improving. They're fun to watch.
Yeah. So what is their record right now?
It'd be 13. They're 13-8.
Okay, 13-8. And they played 2 games, so they got 3 more this weekend, right?
Correct.
Who they got coming up yet?
They play Princeton. You would ask me that. They play Princeton and then a couple more teams. One of them is a good team, and another one is one of those. I need one of those.
I see he read Phil Parker's Paul comment.
I missed it. Darn it. And I'm on my phone, so I don't know how to.
Yeah.
Hello, Jared. But no, they look good like they did. I mean, they're so much better. I think they're going to be ready for Big Ten play because, when Big Ten comes around, they're going to do what baseball does. They're going to play 3 games a weekend, and they'll play, 1 during the week probably, and that's it. They're not going to play these 5-game tournaments every weekend. I mean, baseball, though, they're losing 4-3 right now, but this is their big test, right? I told you guys I thought they'd be ranked after this weekend for this cause.
But they're ranked now.
Yeah, they jumped in the polls at 23.
Yeah.
They're playing 21 Texas Tech, so we'll see, right? Right now it's 4-3. It's a great game in the bottom of the 4th. Jared Simpson's pitching. But Iowa's left 9 guys on base, so I mean they said Iowa averages 10 runs a game right now is what they're saying. So
wow. Well, we need 7 more, and then we'll win the game.
Right. Well, I mean, they've left 9 on base, man. They had bases loaded twice so far,
and they couldn't get them in. Darn.
Yeah, they could. They scored 3, right? They haven't hit a home run. They scored 3, but
yeah. What I've seen from the Facebook post and the Facebook groups, people are actually excited about the baseball this year. This is funny because until the last couple of years, people really weren't talking much about baseball on Facebook at all.
Well, I know. They keep messaging me stuff now. I keep getting all these extra messages. I always get the football stuff, right?
Yeah.
The random questions about basketball. Now I'm getting all this baseball stuff because that's what I talk about. And so, yeah, it's like it's come out of left field with the baseball love. But I'm here for it. I don't care.
All right. Well, so in the current record before they
Iowa baseball is 10-1 right now.
10-1. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go on to something that's not so cool to talk about.
Which one?
The loss in basketball. I know that it had me down in the dumps. I wasn't really angry or mad, and you guys could probably tell that by the way what I was posting. I was more down in the dumps than anything else. It just like really seriously, you're ripped out our hearts again, Hawkeyes. You just keep ripping them out every year.
Why can't I see comments? Man.
Hmm?
I'm just wondering why my phone won't let. I see Jared's, but like I don't see any Phil Parker's pause.
I just put one of his up for you.
Oh, there it is. Okay, see, I see those, but I don't see like all of them.
You're not seeing the sideline, huh?
Yeah,
It's because you're probably on your phone and they don't have room for it.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a question for Paul?
Paul. Okay, Paul, last night you were not happy about the loss. None of us were. So would you like to talk about some of your feelings on the loss? Keep it clean.
This team, they're an enigma. I mean, there's times where they look so good, especially offensively, right? They can hit shots and they share the ball and they move without the basketball, things like that. And then there's other times where they look uncoached. I don't quite understand it. They look uncoached on the defensive side. Guys are just getting wide open shots. Especially in the corners. I'm to the point now where it's strategy, right? I mean, like we've seen this over the years. This isn't a 2023 thing. The corner three shot, it seems as though that that this is what they believe maybe is a low percentage shot. And so they appear to, if they're going to give up something, it appears the corner three is where they feel like because I mean it's just the thing, right? And
you sit in the corner and nobody will guard you,
right?
And that's what Connor gets angry about. Connor's the only one. He's trying. He's yelling at Chris. He's yelling at Perkins. There's that one corner three, like you're saying, where Perkins wasn't even facing the guy. Mm-hmm. The guy faked him out and he was looking at the hoop, but the guy was like what the hell? So yeah, Paul, man, I'm with you.
And this Jekyll and Hyde thing they've got going between when they're playing in Carver and when they're playing anywhere else. I mean,
except for Indiana, they can play at Indiana
apparently. But it's just I don't quite understand it. I mean, good shooters should be able to, and it's not like every shot they're missing is some contested shot or anything. Again, there's times that they're getting really good looks at the basket, and I know it was talked about a couple of games ago. I know Dean, you've been bringing it up in the chat about like Chris Murray and his shot, right? And he's either kind of off balance, falling away, leaning in, whatever. But he's not. You can tell by the way he goes off the ground. If he's falling away or if it's going to go in before, as the ball's leaving his hand, you can say, yep, that one, he stroked that one with some confidence, or, oh, that one he didn't. And I mean, it seems the guys on TV saw it. It's obvious.
The Robbie Hummel special.
Yeah.
Single time he talks about it.
I know it. And that brings me to this is he not able to grasp what he's doing? Like, is anybody on the Iowa team catching his mistakes because that he's not fundamentally doing it right? and working on with him. Like Gayton's a 3-point sharpshooter. Why is Gayton's out there working on him every practice? Trying to get him to go straight up and down. I mean, get him some confidence. I mean, that's what I want to know. Or does the team, and I said this to you guys, or does the team even realize? Do the coaches even realize that he has an issue, and all they're saying is just continue shooting. It'll come back to you.
He's probably knocking down 300 threes a day in practice because, it's in Carver or in the mock Carver practice arena that they have, and I'm sure it looks great. But then when it comes game time, I don't, I'm sure they're obviously these guys put up huge amounts of shots every day. I bet it's probably 500 plus total shots that they're putting up, which and then if we want to start talking about yesterday and Perkins missing a couple of free throws down the stretch, I don't know what that sequence there at the end with loose balls and to me what appeared to be an obvious foul that they didn't call and then somehow I don't know what happened. I had to watch the game on like a DVR delay and the sound got about 10 seconds ahead of the video. So I ended up having to watch the game like on mute because it was pretty aggravating hearing something 10 seconds before I saw it.
Right.
So I didn't really get to hear what happened.
My question is okay, they're all scrambling for the ball, but they're all diving up on top of each other. So if they're scrambling for a ball, there's no foul if you dive on top of somebody? Because Chris Murray was dove on top of his leg, which actually pushed the ball out of bounds before Murray grabbed it and threw it out of bounds the other way. So honestly, if anything, it should have been their ball underneath the basket, not Iowa's ball, but Ohio State's ball underneath the basket there, with more seconds left instead of seconds ticked off off of the clock and having the ball over there, because to me it was clearly obviously out of bounds. But it was off of Murray, so I'm not saying that was Iowa's ball.
No, I felt like there was a foul there. The guy kind of half tackled Murray a little bit. It was definitely a reach-in foul. But aside from that, Iowa did end up with the ball down 4 with about, 15 seconds or so. And they had no plan to score quick, right? Like they dribbled it around and then shot like there was, I don't know what that end of the game sequence was, but that can't be coached. I mean, that was bad. That was like of all the good that happened at the end of the Michigan State game.
Came back to
they went antithesis there, right? They just went like, hey, let's pretend like we have no clue how to do an end of game situation.
Go ahead, Jason. I'm gonna let you talk.
What?
I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead.
I haven't had my chance yet.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm letting you talk.
You just have to stop me because I might go too long.
Oh.
That's another Robbie Hummel special, though.
What did he say?
He was like, when Paul was saying, he was going, "Oh wow, these guys are just taking way too much time. Like, what are they doing?" He was all like, "What is going on here?" Before they threw up that crazy shot or whatever, like they didn't. And then Iowa, they're one of the best teams on out of bounds pass plays. Everybody talks about their out of bounds pass plays are really good. Stuff like that. When you call timeout, and Fran drives me nuts when he doesn't call timeout sometimes. He's the only coach I know that goes to the locker room at half with 4 timeouts, and then he loses it.
Right.
Like, and it doesn't matter how the game's going for the most part. Sometimes he does, but it's crazy how he doesn't use that timeout during different parts of the first half. Like, even if especially if it's a close game, but there's times where Iowa gets up by 10, 12 points, like within the first 10 minutes. And then the other team will come roaring back, and he still doesn't use that timeout.
Here's what I want to know. Each assistant coach scouts a different game. Are they the ones really calling the plays out there on the floor? Are they the ones making the adjustments because they scouted the team? Is Fran just there to yell at the players to motivate them?
No. What they do is they scout the team so the coaches can come up with a game plan,
right,
to attack the team.
Okay.
The like Matt's. I think this last game was Matt's game to scout. They said,
Mm-hmm.
but he scouts them, says what their tendencies are, and the coach is in a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
devise a game plan towards what the tendencies are.
Okay.
The tendencies. How do you say it?
Okay. Well, I honestly,
Bro,
one of the reasons why, and I know I took a little heat from this, especially from you, Jason. I was thinking, was it time to change the coaches and move on? Because I'm seeing coaches, like Coach Painter, make great adjustments in the huddle when they're down and when they're having struggling and doing what he needs to do to get his team back in. The coach for Ohio State yesterday absolutely picked Iowa's weaknesses apart, and he said it right there on TV what they needed to do. Hey, they're giving you the hole in the middle. Take it to the hole. Make the right pass. If the shot's there, take it. If not, get it to the right person who can make the shot. And they continued to do that game after game, drive in the middle because we kept letting it open. And I'm just thinking, okay, is Fran too old for the game? Is what I'm wondering. I mean, well, what I'm saying is
he's
young. He's being out coached by younger coaches. I mean,
well, that age don't matter in that,
okay.
but he's always coached this way. He hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
His offense is the motion offense, and his defense is just get the rebound and push it out. If they make it, get it out of bounds and push it. Like, that's it. Yeah, he runs the fast break motion, and whatever defense they decide. They go through some of the most strangest defenses. You don't even know what they're doing. They'll hit
Neither do they.
The other team will hit 5 corner threes in a row, and Fran won't say a damn thing. He's just like, oh, I guess we're going to lose this game, fellas, unless we get hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's obviously recruited well. He's obviously developed well. But as much as I love Kirk's game day winning strategy, I don't like Fran's game day, right? Mm-hmm. Fran's the opposite on game day. Like, if Fran had Davis's coaching talent on game day, holy cow, would this team be good? Davis couldn't recruit, right?
Well, I do want to jump in here for just a second because, we talk about Fran's motion offense. Okay, yeah, but my issue is I feel like they only run the motion offense about 70% of the time. The other 30% of the time, they're just standing around. There's not enough movement without the basketball. And that's when the offense goes stagnant. All of a sudden, we're settling for contested late shot clock shots, desperation shots, because guys aren't moving without the basket. And when that happens, right, when for whatever reason the motion is breaking down, this is a weakness, I think, of Fran. He's at some point you got to call in a play or do something that is more than just the motion, because if the motion in the ocean ain't happening, right, it is what it is, and it's frustrating to watch, and it's why I think Iowa goes through a lot of 3, 4, 5 minute droughts, and it's some of it shooting and some of it is just a lack of execution on the offense, a lack of movement.
Right. Well, have you guys noticed that this tournament has been a low-scoring team, more defensive-oriented, which is probably why Iowa lost, because they didn't play any defense. I think the 72 points is some of the most points I've seen any team put up in this tournament so far.
But are they defense, or is the Big Ten just terrible?
That too.
You know that Walker dude?
Yeah.
From Mississippi State?
Mm-hmm.
He put up a video on Twitter, which was hilarious. He did a video of, I think it's Penn State Northwestern. Penn State goes down. Nobody guards this kid. He shoots an air ball, right? Mm-hmm. And he keeps the same video going. He goes, and he narrates it. And he's like, okay, that happens. That happens to some of us, right? It doesn't, you get it back or whatever. And then he has it go down. Northwestern goes down. Wide open shot, nobody around him. He shoots an air ball. And all of a sudden, what is this crap? How does anybody watch Big Ten basketball? Like airball after airball.
Yeah.
Speaking of Northwestern, how did they fare today in today's game against Penn State?
I've been all Iowa softball and baseball. I could care less. After Iowa lost, I haven't even watched.
Yeah. I don't know either. Any of you guys out there know that are watching, let us know who won that game.
Jared, yeah, they can make the Sweet 16 at any time because they get hot sometimes, but who knows when, right?
It's going to depend on the matchups. It really does.
It depends on the NCAA tournament. The reason I really don't care about it because it is all about matchups, right? That's when you get the NCAA tournament, you learn teams like Detroit Mercy have 2 stud guards that nobody knew about until they get to the tournament, right? And then they end up upsetting teams.
They're also 5th-year seniors who've been in the program for 5 years because these are smaller school guys. They don't transfer portal much and all of that. There's a lot of reasons. But to go back to that previous comment too about playing other teams and getting outside the Big Ten, that's something else to think about because you were talking about these being low-scoring games. And most of these games, this is going to be the 3rd time around of these teams playing each other.
Right.
There's a lot of familiarity there. There's a lot of, they've been scouted 3 times now. You know what I mean? Like these teams know each other.
Right.
And I mean, and I think I don't know if it's so much in basketball as it is in football, because especially for Iowa, I know at least for Iowa, I don't know about the other Big Ten teams as much, but there's a lot of familiarity with these guys too, because a lot of them have been playing against each other, AAU circuit and things like that. This goes back to these guys know each other, even on other teams.
Yeah. I mean, if they don't get matched up against fast teams, they could do good, right? They could do good. They're not going to guard anybody. So if they go up against people who are quick, can shoot, it's over.
Could you see an Iowa Drake game in Des Moines?
What's that?
Could you see an Iowa Drake game in Des Moines? Iowa with the 9 seed, Drake with the 8 seed?
I mean, I don't see them being in Des Moines, but that would be interesting. I could see Drake being there.
Yeah.
But I think Iowa's going to have to travel.
Okay.
I really think they're going to be the bottom 9 seed or a 10 seed.
That's kind of where I've got them too. But if they're 9 seed, I'm okay with that.
I think for Iowa to be successful in this tournament, they need to play teams that play more of their style, right? Kind of that finesse game.
Yeah.
Because we remember what happened when we went up against, was it Texas Tech, or it was somebody early in the season that
TCU.
TCU. And they just out-dogged us in that game, right? I mean,
Well, I was just thinking, but if you think about teams like, remember Oregon a couple of years ago, those fast teams, because Iowa doesn't play defense, right? So they're not going to get back and stop those fast teams. And against teams that are, is there really a matchup? I mean, it's all about if Iowa can hit threes. When you just back and think about it, because you're right, they're not going to guard anybody who's really fast, but they're not going to be able to handle teams that bully you, right? So, yeah, it's 100%. It just depends on if they get hot. Let's hope that it's at an arena where they can see the hoop and shoot, and it's not at Northwestern's a new gym.
Yeah.
One.
Speaking of low-scoring games.
Oh, that was in overtime.
Yeah.
That was the game that that Walker dude shared with all the air balls.
Hey, by the way, Mike, hot take, Iowa will get a double-digit seed. Isn't like the 12-5 matchup where you see a lot of upsets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, perhaps, that could be a path for Iowa. Get into the 12.
Didn't Iowa lose on a 12-5 seed once?
Well, we lose in all kinds
Or was
of
that a 15-2 seed?
Well, it was 14-3.
Iowa State lost a 15-2 seed. Iowa's lost a 14-3 seed.
14-3 to
Yeah.
Northwestern State or something.
God, that broke my heart, too. I was young.
Mm.
tore the heart right out of me.
Yeah. It wouldn't hurt my feelings tomorrow if OSU beat Purdue because I really hate Purdue. Not that I like Ohio State, but Purdue is on my top of my list, along with Northwestern that I hate, and Minnesota, and
If,
Wisconsin. And
if
I'm so glad Wisconsin will not be in the tournament, boys. Too
Well,
bad. Although they beat us twice, so
if
what can I say about that?
I mean, if Ohio State does win, that knocks out a lot of teams that are on the bubble, right? That takes away a bubble spot.
Yep.
So who's on the bubble? Penn State's on the bubble, but they won.
I think they've cemented I think they're in now.
If after they won today, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But
They're
those
taking on Indiana next, I believe, tomorrow.
that'll take one of those last 4 teams in. That'll take one of their spots.
Mm-hmm.
They
So
make it a play-in game.
yeah.
Heck, I wouldn't mind Iowa being an 11 or 12 seed because that just means they play a 5 or 4 seed, right? Instead of 2 seeds.
So far that I know of, we have a 13th seed in the semifinal, and we have a 10th seed in the semifinal. Who would have thought?
In history, it was the first time in history that a 13 seed team even went past the 4th round, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even get to the quarterfinal. So Iowa helped them there.
Yeah, well, again, we talked about this, a few nights ago before the Big Ten tournament ever even, had even started. That literally, outside of Minnesota, it wasn't really going to surprise us if anybody won, right? I mean, it's been that kind of year in the league where, really. I don't know that there's any great teams in the league. I wouldn't consider Purdue a great team.
No. If you pressure Purdue, you can win.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Ohio State does, keep winning, that could help with Iowa's record, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Iowa 13-10 against quad 1 and quad 2s. So that's why they're in, right? They have 13 wins against quad 1 and quad 2s.
Yeah. You guys got to remember, Ohio State was ranked, and somehow they just hit a skid, that unbelievable skid. And when you watch them play, they do have some talent there. They're not devoid of talent.
Well, they had that McKee.
They play a lot of freshmen, though.
They had that McKee on the court, and they actually played better without him.
Mm-hmm.
He's hurt now, right? And all of a sudden now they're winning when he's not out there. He just slows down. He's supposed to be one of the best players, but he's not. So
what I find really interesting, is that this is not the best version of the Big Ten. It's not a great version of college basketball this year. I know somebody put in the comments earlier too about, there won't be North Carolina, won't be Wisconsin, won't be Michigan in the tournament. This is not a great Big Ten. This isn't probably one of Tom Izzo's top 15 teams that he's coached. Wisconsin's not making the tournament. Minnesota's not making the tournament.
Michigan's not making it.
Michigan's not making it. Ohio State probably has to win the Big Ten tournament to get in.
Well, they have to because they have a losing record.
Yeah,
right.
They still
That's the only way they're getting in is win the tournament.
Rutgers I think they're hurt. From what I understand, they've got some injuries, so they're not the team they were early in the season. Which does make Iowa's win at the rack or whatever it's called now really impressive because they did play at one point I think I had heard that Ohio State had lost like 9 games in a row until
they did. And now they've won like 6 or 7 out of their last whatever. They've had one loss in that stretch now.
And it's just, and then the hottest team in the Big Ten right now might be Nebraska. I don't know.
Nope. They're gone.
No?
They're
okay.
out. They lost.
But they were hot before they were hot, right?
Yeah. I think the hottest team right now is Ohio State.
Well, it might be because every other teams keep winning. But Nebraska, I thought, could beat Maryland, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, wow, they could actually beat their first 2 rounds and they go and lose. So they lost the first round.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast this morning that said Nebraska played their best game this week and their worst game this week.
And it's funny how that happens, but that's been the league all year long, right? And
Minnesota is just terrible. Like Minnesota is absolutely just terrible.
I mean, look at Indiana's coming off their sweep of Purdue, and we go into their house and win. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's an unpredictability in the Big Ten this year that's abnormal. Would it really surprise any of us this year if we had two mid-major level teams in the Elite Eight or two in the Final Four? Like it's just it's not inconceivable.
I was listening to a podcast by Scott Duckerman and Rob Howell this morning. Except for Purdue, I think they pretty much don't have any of the Big Ten teams getting out of the round of 32. I think they think they'll all be gone except for Purdue.
You're a better man than I am if you can listen to Rob Howell.
I don't mind him.
Terrible.
I mean, like,
he's pretty informative. He kind of knows his stuff.
I'd rather be waterboarded in.
Although he does, and this we're going to talk about the settlement coming up soon. But he does think Iowa was very guilty of all the racism.
Oh,
he read that report totally different than you and I read it.
Well, of course he does. That's how we know you don't really know Rob. That's he is all about politics. Rob Howe is he's another one that blocked me on Twitter because I told him Deuce Hogan was gonna transfer. He's like, no, he's not. You're just you're trying to be a big Twitter guy. Look what happened. He transferred just like I said. And no, Rob Howe is all about the politics. Of course he believes it.
Yeah.
Even though the kids, there's proof that the kids literally said, yes, I lied. I didn't really do it. Yes, I lied. I really didn't do it. Under oath. When they put the kids under oath, good segue. When they put the kids under oath, they told the truth. Because they had to. If they would have lied there, and the coaches and the players, everybody who knew they were lying under oath, they would have came forward, and they would have no choice but to have these coaches give their depositions. They hid from the coaches. The coaches have been available. I showed you guys all the court documents since 2021. Why do you think the players' lawyers did not want the coaches to do their depositions? Because it would have just ruined the whole narrative.
Yeah.
So instead, they dismissed all the coaches, and they had this lazy, ignorant, new attorney general, Brainbird, settle on it. Right? She comes in. She's only been an AG for a couple months or whatever, and she settles. Give me a break. It's like everything was planned out like this. Like it did not go the way normal cases go.
Right.
Only people who believe this stuff are people that are anti-ferrets. Yes. Nothing to do with facts. Nothing to do with facts or opinions. The only people who are against this are people who want ferrets gone. Rob Howe's been wanting him gone for a decade.
Rob Howe's an idiot. So.
Him and who's the other one that blocked me? What's the other guy's name?
Scott Dockerman.
No, we follow each other.
Pat Hardy?
Pat Hardy. He's the other one. He blocked me over something that I said that came true after calling me all kinds of names. Because he's another one that's all political. Those guys don't care about reality. They only care about politics.
Yeah. Well, let's just back this discussion back up to basketball first, and we'll come back to that where we left off. I don't want to get too far away from basketball right now because we got some good questions and comments out here. How many Big Ten teams making nationals? How many making Sweet 16, Elite 8, or Final Four? Well, I told you what they said this morning, that only Purdue would get out of the round of 32. Everybody else was going home early. I don't know, in my opinion.
Those guys don't know their tail from their ass.
Yeah. I think Purdue has a chance to get out of the round of 32 to the Sweet 16. Maybe Indiana. I don't know who else from the Big Ten. You know, Wade Northwestern and Penn State are playing right now, though. They might have a chance if they get a good matchup because they could play defense, and that's what they thrive on, defense. Okay. Guy wants to put on. He wants to wager. Phil does $5 that Iowa goes deeper than Purdue in the tournament.
I mean, that guy's a
You know, it depends on if Jekyll or Hyde shows up. Which one?
yeah. I mean, think about what Iowa's record is against the top half of the Big Ten.
Like, it's pretty good.
Brought up Indiana. Iowa swept Indiana, and then they get swept by Nebraska. I mean, heck yeah. I mean, if they go against if they get the right matchups, well, wouldn't this be the most Iowa thing ever? Is to go to the Sweet 16.
This would be the team. You know what, Paul? I would take that. I'll take that bet with you. Make it $5 and a bottle of rum. Yo ho ho.
He may not be 21.
Oh,
We don't
all right,
know.
no rum.
Mr. God. Wait a minute. You're supposed to be done with that stuff.
Yeah. Is there some rum in that Diet Coke of yours tonight?
There's not.
Oh, okay. Guys, I've been off the caffeine for so long, I don't even know what that means anymore.
Yeah. I don't know how you would do that. Oh, what is going on with my internet?
Mm.
My phone's going, but
Mm-hmm.
You're still here. You're still here. You haven't left us yet.
You know, I want to comment here real quick here about being anti-Barta. Look, to me, if you look at the athletic department, the situation as a whole, right? I think we have a competitive, successful football program. I think our men's basketball program, you know, we're in the tournament. It seems like every year now. We've had the National Player of the Year a couple of times. Women's basketball, are you kidding me? You know, that's in great shape. Wrestling is probably a little under where I'd like it to be, but it's in pretty good shape. They're building a new wrestling facility, which is going to be amazing. The baseball team, the softball team, the track team, the women's gymnastics have a few hotties. I mean, like, I don't know what more you could want out of this situation, right?
Well, what somebody said to me, and he's anti-Barta, he's like, you can be like a good person to find good head coaches and be a very bad administrator, right? And that's part of it, because part of the reason that he lost the reason he lost to that couple where they had to give $6.5 million is because he didn't keep documentation that would have proved that he was right. Everybody was asking for the documentation, and he didn't even know he needed to do it. That most administrators would know when you're doing certain things, you have to document, right?
Right.
This is where Barta is really bad at, is the documenting everything that goes on, which is what you're supposed to do. They should give him an assistant that's what that assistant does. Is just make sure everything is, you know, copacetic, make sure everything is fine, good to go.
Right.
If something happens where something's questionable, like that couple who sued Iowa because of Barta, they got $6.5 million because Barta didn't have proof of what he was saying because he didn't document it.
You know what? I'm going to go a little bit political here on this, though, because what we're really talking about is this woke BS stuff. I mean, we're talking about LGBTQT couples and racism and all of the. It's a lot of nonsense, and you get on these college campuses where you know there's all these interesting ideals and kids and they all want to be progressive thinkers, and I don't know. I think it's a lot of nonsense. That's just my.
Okay, first I want to answer Jared's question earlier. Jared, they were 9-3. Should have been 10-2, but they were 9-3 in non-conference games. How do you guys feel about state politicians calling for the removal of Barta?
State politicians need to just butt out. I mean, honestly, and I kind of joked about this on a different platform, but even when the state of Iowa, the residents, I guess, were going to be on the hook for the $2 million. there's 3.5 million people in the state of Iowa. Pay your dollar and shut up.
This
Really,
comment.
As much money gets wasted by the government, $2 million is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. I think this next comment is more geared toward Jason. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and Barta is as weak as Stanley's 2-point conversion efforts.
Even though, what's funny about that comment is he keeps bringing it up, but he keeps not bringing up the 75-yard touchdown that led to that 2-point conversion. Talk about the 75-yard touchdown pass he threw right before that. But okay, let's move on.
I want to move away from basketball now, guys. Your questions about basketball and statements. We're going to move on.
I was losing 8-3, by the way.
Oh wow, that's not good.
No.
Okay. Jared posted something about Iowa wrestling. What I'd like to know, Paul, you had a few things to say about what you're feeling about Iowa wrestling this morning. I don't know if you had a little bit to drink when you mentioned him, but I told you to save it and bring it to the table tonight. Do you remember what you were saying?
Dude, I don't drink before work.
Oh, that's true. I forgot you had to work today. It wasn't. I'm all discombobulated because I felt like it was like Saturday all day.
Trying to get a brother locked up.
Sorry, dude.
No, and I haven't drank since, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. Anyway,
right. Okay.
It's been a hot minute. Been too long. No, when it comes to the wrestling, my thing is Iowa wrestling. It's supposed to be about get on your offense, right? Always moving forward, kicking ass. It's Spencer Lee, right? What we need are 10 Spencer Lees, in our weight classes, guys that have that Spencer Lee mentality. He's not looking to win 3-2. No, he's looking to put your ass on, you put your back against the mat. He's looking for near fall points and falls, right? We have too many guys who are trying to let the match come to them or get sucked into these get sucked into these defensive. No, get on your offense. Go forward. Force the stall calls. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. The thing that I've noticed about some of the other guys, Cassioppi's one of them, Warner's one of them, is, and I think Max Mirren is another one, along with Abe Assad. These guys, like you said, they try to not force the action. They try to wait till the action comes to them. But a lot of these times, these guys were in meets where they were winning with seconds to go, and they got sucked into a move by the other guy who immediately took them down because they let them make a move because that's the move they sucked them into, and they go, okay, I'm going to make this move, so you make this move, and then I'm going to put you on your back, or I'm going to take you down for some points and win the match. And they did. How many times did we see that happen where they lost a match just like that?
But you know what? If you get on your offense, it takes care of itself. Think about go back to about a month ago or so when Spencer Lee was just coming back, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
And the first guy he wrestled, I think, put Spencer on his back. Mm-hmm. He got down. What was it? 6-1?
Nothing. I think it was 8-1 or 8-0 or something like that.
And he came back and kicked the guy's ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know why? Because he stayed on his offense. So what? The guy hit a move on him. That's what Iowa wrestling is supposed to be, and it kills me to watch these guys. Like I said, what was it? Give me a second. It was one of our 3-letter guys from last year, the year before. DeSantos. It was DeSantos, and I think he's wrestling like RBY from Penn State, and RBY is literally standing there holding a hand behind his back, right? Because he didn't want him to get to that arm or whatever. Get on. If he's going to hold one arm, literally hold his arm back, which should have been stalling. Anyway, Go after him. Go wrestle. Get on your offense.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
guy in Florida wrestled
Yeah.
DeSantis?
Huh?
I said the governor of Florida.
Oh no.
No. Austin DeSantos was
Austin
he
DeSantis.
wrestled last year with the team.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, so on that match where Spencer Lee came back and won, did he come back and win by pinning or points?
Pin.
Pin.
He didn't do points. He just pinned him. He got mad. He goes,
Right.
that sucker made the mistake of running up some points on him.
He pinned him.
He pinned him.
You lose
Or-
it 10-0 or whatever, and just pin them and you win.
Yeah.
Like points don't really matter until the clock stop.
Right.
15 points. As long as the score is within 15 points, the match goes on.
I remember you saying that. Yeah. Okay.
Unless you're already in a pinning situation. Then you can go over 15 points until something happens. Either the pinning situation, like say you get to your stomach, so now all of a sudden you're not in that compromised position anymore. Match is over at that point. Or if the time runs out in the period, obviously that,
right.
But if you're up 16 points, but you're on your back fishing and trying not to get pinned, they'll let it go and see if you can get the fall.
Who did Lee met Ramos in the finals of the Big Ten, right? Am I wrong? Or the semis? Jared, help me out here because you seem to got it all down.
Yeah.
I don't know anything. So
Yeah. I was just Jared's talking about nationals right now, but no, he says no. Okay, so I got it wrong. They did not wrestle. Oh, he's looking it up.
So Ramos is the guy you were talking about from Penn State?
No.
No, he's from Purdue.
I heard an R. Yeah, they were wrestling an R. This is what.
RBY is from Penn State, right?
Yeah, that's Roman Bravo Young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Iowa kept it closer than I thought they would in the Big Ten finals. I thought the score was like within 13 points. I thought that was closer than I actually thought they would be with only 3 people in the finals, and I believe Penn State had like 7 in the finals. And so, that surprised me a little bit. But we must have did better on the wrestlebacks than they did.
Yeah, we the team did decently well in the consies and in the consolation bracket, but and we did have 2 champions, right?
So, yeah, we had and a runner-up.
I thought you had 3 champions.
We had 3 in the finals, but only 2 won and the other one lost his match, so he was the runner-up. Patrick Kennedy was the runner-up at his weight, which he's better than most people give him credit for. And I also think Teskey. What's Teskey's first name? I blew it the last time.
Oh,
is it Brody?
Brody, yep.
Yeah,
sure.
Brody.
Yeah.
Brody. He's going to be good too. I think we just got him going a little late in the year, and he's run into some good wrestlers. But he's also one of those non-aggressive wrestlers that likes to counter wrestle, defensive wrestling, as Jared put it. I couldn't think of the name, and I'm glad he came up with it for me. Counter defensive wrestling. But yeah, I like a textile. There was back in Dan Gable's day, back in the 80s, there's a guy, and I can't remember his name. He didn't do a lot of pins, but what he would do is run up the score on them. He would literally take them down and then let them escape it so he could take them down again, let them escape and take them down again.
Yes.
He
That's
just kept
Iowa
doing
wrestling.
That was Dan Gable wrestling back in the day.
Yeah.
When Gable wrestled Iowa State?
Gable may have wrestled for Iowa State. Barry Davis, I think that's who I'm talking about, Jared. I just couldn't remember who that was. Barry Davis was one of our good guys.
Like, what year did he take over as head coach at Iowa?
It was in the 70s, right?
Yeah, 79.
Oh, okay. So he wrestled Iowa State.
He was an assistant for a couple of years, so they actually started their national run under the previous coach, and Gable just kept it running. I think 15 straight years.
Nice shirt, by the way, Paul.
Thank you.
Let's see your shirt, Paul. Back up a little bit so I can see it.
Oh, it's a
Oh,
Cubs.
Cubs. You're a
World
Cubby.
Series. Yeah.
I'm an Angels guy.
I love the Cubbies.
All right. I think we got that out on Barry Davis, the coach at Wisconsin, head coach. I did not realize that. You know, that's one of the reasons why a lot of the Big Ten teams are so good, because they've got Iowa coaches, Iowa former wrestlers coaching them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the settlement. I know we got a little bit into it already. Jason said he had a lot to say, so I'm going to give him first crack at it.
Well, I mean, I've already went on a little tear, but you stopped me. I've calmed down since that day, but like there were people on Twitter that were like, "You are going nuts!" Like just messaging me, "Why are you going so nuts on this?" Because I was so mad, and I was bringing the facts out to everybody, everybody, and whenever they would try to come back with like what Rob Howe's crap, I would be like, it wasn't Rob Howe obviously because he has me back, but there's people just like him, and I would just send the facts, and then they would walk that back saying, well, they were scared. They walked it back. Like, no, they walked it back because it was true, and they knew if they lied under oath that the coaches, they would have no choice but to let the coaches give their side, right? That's what's the weirdest part about this case getting settled is the coaches never got their depositions, even though they were available since 2021, right? The kids literally said they lied. When they were under oath, they literally told the truth, right? And that's all documented. I shared that with everybody. So what in the heck did they settle on? The things that Kirk said he did, well, it wasn't everything. Like there's people are like, well, if he wouldn't have admitted it, what he admitted to is not knowing about the education part, right? He admitted to, I wasn't keeping track of race on who was graduating and who wasn't. Like there was stuff like that he didn't keep track of. Like he didn't know because he didn't go by race. He wasn't like, hey, black people aren't graduating, white people are. Why the heck is this happening, right? So he admitted to all that other stuff. He admitted to the cell phone usage, the Twitter usage, and all this stuff that in today's society, say it's cultural differences, even though Deion Sanders has it at Colorado, like the same type of stuff. Deion Sanders has the exact same thing. You ain't going to wear your shorts below the waist. Like he said everything that Kirk wants, but Kirk can't do it. So it's just weird. It's almost like there was a agenda to settle this case because there was no facts. Like everything was debunked except for, yes, the black kids weren't graduating for whatever reason, but Kirk didn't like having a spreadsheet saying, okay, black people, white people, he wasn't keeping track on who was graduating and all that. So, I mean, he admitted to that stuff, but he told the truth, and so did the kids on all that other stuff. When, I mean, the fact that Jonathan Parker is going to get $184,000 for saying that Brian said that that's a play only a black kid would make when he messed up a play. All the players that I talked to in that moment and the coaches that were there could have said, no, that didn't happen. The players told me, which is why I was so gung-ho. Remember, I said this on our podcast a long time ago that I brought up Jonathan Parker because I literally talked to players that were there and said, no, that didn't happen. He got his butt chewed for running the play wrong. Like every one of us who has played sports. If you played sports, you've probably got your butt chewed before, especially in football when everybody has to do a thing, right?
Well, he was also a freshman too, wasn't he, at the time?
What?
You talking about that one where he took the ball out of bounds at the 2-yard line?
I mean, that's the kid, but
yeah.
I mean, that's the same kid.
That was his contribution to Hawkeye football. The dumbest thing you could possibly do in that situation. That was his lasting contribution to Hawkeye football.
I thought it was his freshman year when he did that, though.
It might have been, but you know what? I was present for that.
Yeah,
I was in a game against Michigan where he did an end around that won the game for us. and scored a touchdown.
Who?
Parker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was a good player, which is why he was playing when he was young. But he would make mistakes on the offense, and Brian chewed his butt. Brian wasn't even OC.
Yeah.
So, but he chewed his butt for running the play wrong. And at least I don't think he was OC yet. It might have been his first year of being OC. But anyway, it didn't happen. And then when Jonathan Parker went under oath, he admitted, yeah, that was a lie. That didn't happen. And then another player said that he was told the Iowa way was to have your hair cut, even though players all around him had long hair, right? You imagine going up to Adrian Claiborne and said the Iowa way is to cut your hair. You know what he would have said, right? The same thing he said to Doyle when Doyle tried being all tough with him and trying to belittle him like he did all the other kids, right? He'd walk on fingers. He would say, you're going back to the hood if you can't lift that. That stuff didn't work on players with their personality like Claiborne. So all these, Mitch King, he cut his hair because he was tired of scaring women, remember?
Is that what he said? He's scaring women?
Yeah, like women would be afraid of him. So he cut his hair off and got.
I was kind of disappointed because it was always easy to tell where he was at in the field with the hair.
And then the senior year, I want to say it was, he cut his hair. He's like, well, I was tired of scaring the women. I mean, that's what he said. Who knows? He was probably just being funny. Mm-hmm. But there were so many lies and people. Okay, I don't know. It's a psychology thing. Is like, if you ever talk to somebody, like ask them a question, said like, what would happen to you if you didn't eat breakfast? And they responded, I did eat breakfast. No. What would happen to you if you didn't? But they're like, but I did, right? It's the same type of thing here where they can't see because the kids, like you said, I didn't get my hair cut. There's players around him that had a haircut. Yeah, but they told him he had to get his haircut. Well, why didn't they tell all these other kids, right? They can't like put the two and two together that kid was full of crap. And under oath, he admitted to being full of crap.
Yeah.
So
the other thing here with this is some of the accusations that were probably almost all recanted under oath. A lot of them came from practice situations. They film practice, guys. They film practice. They go back, they rewatch it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's audio with right. those tapes all the time, but right. You know, I know one of the stories was Brian Ferentz threw a trash can or something at Akron. Turns out that absolutely never happened at all. I think he might have kicked a trash can, but Akron Wadley wasn't within like 30 yards of the situation, and
it was. I mean, no, that was another lie.
And that was on tape. Like they had it on video. So it was just one of these things where, again, for me and seeing Kirk's response to this, what it looks like to me happened was the coaches would wanted to, and rightfully so, wanted to fight this thing to the bitter end. They would have been more than happy to see the inside of a courtroom. The defendants figured out, hey, you know what? The school probably won't fight us too much on this. They would rather settle and just get this thing done and out of the way. The only way we're going to accomplish this is to drop the coaches because they're going to want to stay in the fight. And so they removed the coaches, and now they're just negotiating with the school. The school at this point is probably thinking, look, we've been into this for 2 years. I know the coaches hired their own attorneys, but the school is still paying some kind of an attorney. You know, I think they were just looking at what will this cost and what could it potentially cost, especially in Iowa City, where you know you're probably going to get a jury if it does go. You're going to get some Ferentz lovers maybe on the jury, but you're also going to get, you know, it's a mixed bag. It's not exactly the most. You're always taking a risk when you get 11 jurors in the box, right? So at the end of the day, I think they just wanted to figure out a solution to get this and move on.
But sometimes it's about principle. I mean,
Right.
and this was about the coaches being racist.
Right.
This literally could affect, one's career, right? So this is
It affects everything, right? I mean, that's your name. That's what really gets me is, and I'm close to this situation living here in Jacksonville, and the Jaguars tried to hire Chris Doyle, and I mean, he went from literally being the gold standard in his profession, right? I mean, he was the highest paid strength coach in the country, one of the most well-respected. Everybody, all the other teams, SEC teams, everybody was sending their strength coaches to learn from Chris Doyle. So
right.
the Doyle way and the Doyle methods are being used all over the country because this guy knew what he was doing. And
he was too much of a drill sergeant for these kids. Like, and I don't mean I mean the drill sergeant in
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket, and you can't do that. Like, you could do that in the military, but you can't do that to college kids because then it's just the mental game. He was using his power over kids that he could, because not everybody's like Claiborne. Not everybody's as mentally strong as Claiborne. It'd be like, sorry, dude, you got the wrong guy. I don't think.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? For you're at a Big Ten school, and maybe this is where you want to be, and maybe you just, I don't know. Nobody was holding a gun to these kids' head, right? If you're that unhappy, or you feel like you're caught in a racist situation or whatever, leave. Go where the food is, right? Like,
well, it wasn't as easy as it is now. Back then, they would have had to have sat out a year. They would have had to have went to UNI, right? Go down a level.
Then it wasn't that bad, right?
I mean, I guess I understand it, but I don't understand Doyle walking on fingers of players and like all that. I mean, that's where it gets me, right? I don't understand telling them to go back to the hood. So,
right.
You could say there's so many other things that you can say besides all that. And I understand it because he was racist against the white kids though too, right? He'd be like, you don't have that white picket fence around you now. Like, he had all these just, even though white kids come from trailer parks, but he had all these things that he would say to motivate them different from, but they end up being the opposite of what the kid was, right? So like the black kid, maybe he's never even been in the hood, but he would say stuff like that. The white kid probably came from a trailer, but he would be like telling him, you don't have that white picket fence here, son, just stuff like that. So all that was just uncalled for. I get it. If he would have just stuck to, what he knows best, right? He would still be doing it. But this whole deal, I just don't understand how, they settled. I know everybody's telling me everybody settles, right? Kobe Bryant settled, even though he didn't. It was, consensual. But so all kinds of, everybody settles, so it's over, right?
Yeah.
But it just bothers me because of I think Jared asked the question about the recruiting.
Yeah, he did.
This isn't going to affect recruiting at all, because if it was, it would have already heard it before anything even, because the coaches are going to show those same things that Kirk Ferentz showed the day of what every kid said under oath, right? He's going to say, no, none of this even happened. So recruits are going to know the facts because the coaches have the facts. That's why recruiting has actually been better than it has been in a long time.
Right.
And Iowa did make some changes, right? I mean, that they held a big meeting and they aired some grievances. Apparently it was quite the meeting. This was a couple of years ago, right? And they made some changes coming out of that meeting that made the environment maybe a little more diverse friendly. They changed the music in the weight room up a little bit, modernized it.
Less strict, right? He didn't want them on their phones. He didn't want them on social media. Like, he had all these rules that are so similar to Deion Sanders' rules that it's almost comical. You know what would be the ultimate thing would be if Kirk actually tweeted, Deion Sanders is now my favorite coach.
Kirk will never tweet that because he doesn't believe in Twitter.
No. He doesn't believe in social media or not, but I just think that would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen it's a basketball movie with Samuel L. Jackson as the coach, and I can't think of the name of it, but he takes over this high school basketball team, the California Richmond something or other, and he creates these. He makes all the players sign these contracts, and part of the deal is that they have to attend class, they have to sit in the front of the class, they have to wear a shirt and a tie, and then all of these.
Coach Carter.
There we go, Coach Carter.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
It's a great movie, but again, so and I get this is a movie, it's theatrical and things like that, but I mean, like, Samuel L. Jackson says to do it. Wow, what a cool, that's a Disney story, like this is Remember the Titans. Kirk Ferentz or Chris Doyle says to do it. Well, they might as well be members of the KKK. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'm just glad the kids told the truth. So regardless, they're going to take their $184,000. The lawyers are going to get all their, couple million, and it's going to be over with. And I still think next year's season is going to be special. And when it is, everything's going to, it's going to slide because it's not going to hurt recruits. Recruiting's still going to, they're still going to come. And they're going to see the environment. They're going to see the facts. Coaches are going to give the facts. The black coaches are still there, right? Like, none of the coaches are leaving. It's the same staff. So I think it's going to be a special year because now we have a quarterback and they have, like, an All-American tight end with the backup that could have been the All-American tight end, right? So, I mean, they're going to be really good next year.
It bothers me, this lawyer for the players coming out and putting that whole twist on it, saying, Kirk Ferentz in his statement lied. Because they settled, that means that the players have been vindicated, that they were actually telling the truth, and that Ferentz was lying this whole time.
Tell the truth on their oath, then.
Yeah, but Ferentz completely said in his statement that it was settled without guilt, with no admission of guilt.
And Kirk has the proof, the positions from the players, under oath.
And what we've had even before that the media, Rob Howe, douche, never reported on is, from that Roush report, right? They had statements from all kinds of black players, guys like Micah Hyde and whatever that came out even in defense of Chris Dawson. He's a great dude. He taught me about being a man as well as whatever. He taught me about how to be a good husband, things like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that were within that report that the media, just completely ignored, because it didn't further their agenda and their narratives. And,
I know that when we both were helping, who, and we wrote the story and did a video on that whole thing, and we both read the thing. I think first thing you and I both said, there was no smoking gun in that report.
There is not.
There is not. And, and why can't the media see that? Why are they choosing to ignore that?
Because the same reason Tucker Carlson's got to do this January 6th thing, right? Nobody saw those videos, and this dude's going to be in prison for 4 years. Exact same thing. I mean, both sides just lie. The media is not going to want to see the side that they don't want. And then the other people, whoever it is, are going to see their side, right? This is all the facts on.
This is the media, reporting on these mostly peaceful protests while there's buildings burning in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This all came to light, during the what's that guy's name? I shouldn't have forgot his name. That was killed by the Minneapolis police.
Boy George. I don't know.
George Floyd.
George Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of comments I'm afraid to put up there because I'm not sure if they're considered racist comments, so I'm not putting them up there where they can be seen. Sorry, guys.
Um,
I have thick skin. I can take anything you throw.
Yeah, I just don't want YouTube to think we're being racist, so I'm not putting them up there.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. I don't know. If I don't know where the line is.
Phil, you're a funny guy, but looks aren't everything.
Yeah.
But do you guys know who Tony Tempa is?
I do not.
That's not a name I'm familiar with either.
I mean, you guys, to go along with what you just said about George Floyd and the reason why they don't see this, Tony Tempa was a white guy in Texas who he died the exact same way as George Floyd. The only difference is the cop sat on his neck for 13 minutes. This was 6 months prior to the George Floyd situation. But you see how you guys didn't have a clue about him, but we know about George Floyd because of the media.
Yeah, if you guys get Netflix at your house, turn on the Killing County. It's about the killings of people at the hands of the corrupt police department here in Bakersfield. I think you will learn a lot, and I think you will also find out that it wasn't only black people that were being targeted. Well, no, I shouldn't say targeted, but
cops can be some of the worst people on the planet.
And actually, one of those persons was a black cop who turned out to be a very bad cop, and he lost his job. He also was featured in the movie McFarlane, USA. I mean, back when he was one of the runners, he was a runner. So, I mean, it wasn't actually him in the movie,
right?
But it was an actor portraying his role in the movie.
I got you. I know you meant.
Okay.
You know what's really interesting, no matter how what side of the aisle you fall on here, just pay attention to news cycles and how long things hang around. If it's a story that kind of furthers certain agendas or certain narratives, it'll have a lot of staying power. If it's the New York City subway shooter who turned out to be a black guy, goes in and out of the news cycle like that, or monkeypox. Right? You remember monkeypox was a thing, right? It was going to kill us all. That
died as fast as it came up.
Yeah, well, once they figured out that it pretty much was only gay people, right? Like they're the only ones spreading the monkeypox. All of a sudden,
see, I didn't know that. I didn't know. I just thought it was a non-issue, so it just went away.
Well, see, I didn't. I'm not that too. I'm not left, whatever. I'm just wherever the truth takes me.
That's what I'm at too. The truth. That's all I want is the truth. I'm open to the truth.
Because sometimes both sides are just nuttier than a fruitcake.
True.
And to go to your question though, Dean, to get us back on track, is why they're not portraying Kirk's side, because it doesn't fit the narrative that they want to push, especially on ESPN. That lawyer probably was extra zealous because it was ESPN. Right. But that's going to hurt Iowa recruiting. Nobody watches ESPN. Nobody's important. Oh, we got a frame. Somebody's watching you.
Say hello to my wife.
Oh.
Hi, Ramona.
She's like, stop talking about monkeypox.
I got the pox.
But that's why. But I mean, I've down. If we would have done a podcast that day, woo, I had so much to say that day when I first said something. But yeah, it's just Kirk has all the facts. It's not going to hurt recruiting, and that's the bottom line. Recruiting is still going to keep going the way it is. It's going to get better and better. And we've actually learned they don't even spend money on recruiting in Iowa football like they do Iowa basketball. Do you guys see that thing I shared where they've only spent like $200,000 on football recruiting, but basketball is up close to $1 million?
Yeah.
And they only have to recruit 12 guys, right? Football, you need 100 guys. So you got 85 scholarships to fill plus some extras. So, I mean, I don't know about that.
To answer Phil's question, no, I have not watched Boys in the Hood.
Oh, who hasn't seen Boys in the Hood? Wow.
I've never seen it, probably because a lot of the music and stuff doesn't jive with me.
Wow.
Well, you are old. I guess Boys in the Hood was during our time. Basically, it came out in the early '90s or late '80s. One of the two.
Yeah.
I think it was early '90s.
Yeah. I'm not much for rap and that kind of music.
It was when Ice Cube wrote it. He was writing it during the NBA or NWA, and they were in the mid '80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mid to late '80s before Eazy-E died. So,
well, guys, we've gone over an hour here, an hour and 15 minutes
because of the discrimination lawsuit. I actually thought we'd talk more about that than the basketball team, but
yeah, we actually got carried away on the basketball a little bit. I just let it go because the discussion was going so good. I'd originally only had about 15 minutes begged for it, but I think we went 30 minutes.
We're just trying to figure out how to play defense. We're doing everything we can.
I was also going to bring up one thing that bothered me was also in a podcast. I think Rob Howell did this podcast himself. He put down the washed-up walk-ons. He called them. He didn't come on by name, but he talked about 3 white boys who are from the state of Iowa who played football at Iowa. Don't know anything about being raised, in the hood or something. I'm gonna call it the hood. I don't know what he used. He said, but he basically called them liars.
Bit racist, if you ask me. I won't talk about Rob Howell. He's an idiot.
Right. That's all it is.
He is a clickbait whore, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to do what him and Pat Hardy both just lie their ass off, and they always go the negative route on everything. It's one thing if, okay, this is the one time that you don't like Kirk. He hasn't liked Kirk for over a decade. He has written bad things about Kirk forever.
Yeah.
And when you do that, then you lose everything. Like even during 2015, when Iowa was undefeated, he was talking bad about him. He was saying,
I hate the fact that we even said their names on here. You know what I mean? Like, because if anybody's now if they haven't read the garbage and heard the spew, the crap that comes out of their mouths,
we just sent them there.
Yeah, we just sent them there to go give them clicks and likes and whatever. And,
you need to set this up where those are curse words, and every time we say them, it beeps.
There you go. All right, guys, I think Paul's right. We should probably get out of here.
Yeah, I said my piece.
Okay. Everybody's happy. Everybody got their frustrations out tonight. Okay. All right. Guys, let's get out of here, and I'm not sure when we'll come back on again.
Well, maybe we can come back and
after
when the brackets come out, we can talk about the brackets and
both brackets. Yeah, both brackets. We can talk bracket talk. There we go.
And we'll probably catch up on what's going on the diamond.
Mm-hmm.
By that time too, I think the women may have even started, right? So I think the women's tournament starts before the men's tournament. So.
No, they start at the same time. Actually, theirs is a Friday, Monday format.
Yeah, it's a day later.
But the brackets will come out Sunday night. Ours will come out in the afternoon, and then Sunday night theirs comes out.
So we could do
somewhere in there. The NIT comes out.
Yeah, we could do Wednesday night and talk about it.
And by the way, I think at least I hope. I think Iowa will come. It'll be closer in nationals than it was the Big Tens with us and Penn State. I think Iowa has a shot there. I really do. Because upsets happen in the national tournament, right? And there's some good wrestlers in some of these weight classes where maybe Iowa isn't as strong that are outside the Big Ten. So we could. I don't think you're going to see 7 Penn State wrestlers in the finals of the nationals. Whereas I know, at least I feel pretty good about Iowa getting at least 2 in there. Lee and Woods, I think absolutely will be finalists. Can we get a 3rd or a 4th? Possible.
You see both Lee, not a surprise, but Woods might be a slight surprise, are both the number 1 seeds in the national tournament. Paul, you do need to Venmo that $5.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens. You know what?
Yeah, we'll also have, not only do we have bracket talk, but they'll also have national wrestling talk. That
That'll be
wrestling nationals will be over by then. Okay, so we just plan on Sunday or Monday something, guys? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
Or Wednesday night, whatever.
Okay, whatever we do.
The day before the first round of the tournament. You guys just text me. Jared
Okay.
for me on the wrestling. We should
Yeah.
get Jared here to talk wrestling.
Yep.
Jared loves talking wrestling, guys. He's our go-to wrestling guy, our guru.
Yeah, I don't even know what he just said.
What he's saying is that Iowa is in a better position in the weight classes than Penn State is.
But he said
It's
it's
all-
all bonus points.
Right.
Yeah, well,
That's
you
what
got to
we
rack
talked
up
about.
bonus points to rack up team points.
Yeah. So tech falls, pins, major
Major decisions.
decisions.
Okay, we'll go with that.
All right, all right, guys, we better end this.
Hi, Terry.
All right,
Hi, Terry.
all right. See you guys after the weekend, brackets, wrestling, and everything. Bye.
Thanks for all the fun, Phil.